Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Drop Goal podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by former Toronto Wolfpack player and current Casleford Tigers player. It's the man himself, Gareth O'Brien. Welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be on.
Definitely, mate. So before we start the podcast, how was your game with the Tigers on the weekend?
Unfortunately, we were on the wrong end of the result. It was a tough game. Every game against Wigan is. So we were disappointed with how we went. To be honest, had a real good chat and a real good look at ourselves after the game, and thankfully in our sport we've got the next game is never too far away. So we've got Salford on Thursday, which is a must win. Especially with this condensed season. I'm not sure how many games we've got left. Maybe 12, I think. 22 rounds.
Something like
so that, we can't really afford to lose many more if you want to push for that top four. So all the focus is on Salford Thursday.
Exactly. So it's good to see you back out on the field, and you're looking good in the Cas colours. So without wasting any more time, let's begin. So I'm going to ask you the same question which I ask most players who come on the podcast. At what age, when you were growing up, did rugby league come into your life?
At what age? Wow. I wouldn't say I started playing at 5. So
okay.
I presume it was my dad's from Widnes, so it was my dad who definitely got me into the game. So I was probably less than 5 years old before I'd actually, seen a game and watched it live. He used to take me to Widnes. We were a very successful team. Back in the day, obviously they're back in the Championship at the minute. Looking to get back to where their fans probably believe they should be in the Super League, and they've had some success there recently as well. So I was a young kid. I was 5 years old. Enjoyed what I was looking at, and wanting to give it a go and see how far I could go.
Was it when you first saw the sport? Was at that young age you already knew you were destined to be a rugby player, or did that come later
on? I think as a kid at that age, you probably just you look at it as like something that you want to play and you want to enjoy, and you want to be part of a team, and just doing something you love with a bunch of lads at the same age. They're just going out to have some fun. And then the older you get, it starts to become a bit more serious, and you get a gauge of how good you are, and it's only then I'd probably suggest that maybe I can have a career out of this if I work hard and make the sacrifices and need to be a professional. So at that age, I wouldn't say it was there and then, but I definitely loved playing. There's no doubt.
Okay, so obviously growing up around the Widnes Warrington area, where rugby league is one of the biggest sports, you of course came through the Warrington Academy. Was it when you're climbing the ranks of the academy that you knew you could make a living out of playing rugby league? Or, like I said before, did you know from when you first fell in love with the game that was what you were destined to do?
I suppose when you get to that age of 15, 16, and you've got an academy like Warrington that are interested or want to bring you onto their books, that you've obviously got some sort of raw talent there. Like I don't think you'd be asked onto some sort of program like that if you didn't have some sort of talent. But I strongly believe that talent only gets you so far. So you got to have the right attitude. You've got to prepare yourself, and you've got to put the work in. It's like anything. If you want to be successful, you've got to work at it. You got to practice. And I like to think I've done that. I'm happy with or where I've got to. I'll be honest. I thought, if I make it, that'll be brilliant. But I wasn't all like the be all and end all for me. Although I must admit, like I also had this confidence but not arrogance in that I felt inside that I would make it one day, and thankfully I've had I'm proud of the career I've had. Not quite made it to the international stage, but that's another step above. Try not to put too much pressure on myself. I'm my own worst critic, so just try and grow out. I'm 28 now and enjoy myself, and just see it as what it is. It's a job, and I love doing it, so I want to try and do it for as long as I can.
Definitely. And growing up, were there any other sports that caught your attention?
I played a bit of football, as probably most kids do coming through school. That's just again it's probably something that most of your mates do, rather than like rugby league sort of second when it comes to football, I think. So I was half decent footballer. That was just an enjoyment thing. Played a bit for school. Played a bit for Crossfields amateur football team.
Yeah.
But then I got to an age where it was kind of I was playing both, and I sort of had to choose which path I wanted to go down. And I thought I've probably got a better chance of making it as a professional rugby league player, because it's not as competitive as football is. And really, I deep down, I did enjoy it. I liked rugby league a lot better. So a bit of football growing up. I play a lot of golf now. Took that up when I was about 14.
Okay.
So that's like my sort of to get away from the game and to chill out. I play a bit of golf, so managed to get myself to a 6 handicap. So I'm an half decent golfer as well.
Do you think if you put your mind to it, you could have become a professional football player?
Who knows? I don't think I was good enough. It was just football's another world apart.
Yeah.
But, you get people that say, "Oh, you could have made it doing this, you could have made it doing that." But no, I didn't see it like that. There was a lot more lads that were a lot more talented, better footballers than me in my age group. So didn't see it as that. I just saw it as like something to do with the mates that I enjoyed.
Okay, so you made your Challenge Cup debut for Warrington in a huge 80-0 victory over Casleford Cougars, I believe. What was it like to be a part of such a huge victory and also score a try on your debut for the Wolves?
Yeah, it was massive. I think that was my first senior game. Obviously, I was very, very nervous. I think we played at the Highwell Jones as well in the cup. So just wanted to try and have a positive start to my first team's career, and we run out 82-0 winners. So can't get much better. And to get over the try line was awesome as well. I think it was 19 at the time. So I don't remember too much of the game, but obviously I remember the try and being part of it. So definitely one for the scrapbook. That
definitely. So you made your Super League debut against current club Casleford, where you steered the Wolves to an impressive 62-0 win. By this point, had the pressure of performing at Super League standard faded away after 2 emphatic wins?
No, definitely not. It was. I think it was the week after my the cup game that I played. And Tony Smith at the time, he informed me quite early on in the week. He usually named his team a lot later on in the week, but he told me early on in the week that I'd be starting at halfback, so I could mentally prepare. It wasn't just such like a shock, which I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I was happy with the way I played the week before. I thought, that's a good start. The boys are back in Super League this week. It'll be good to get to the game and watch, and hopefully, if I keep playing how I have been, I'll get a chance. But, I didn't know that my chance would come that quick the next week. So very excited. I think it was on Sky as well. So that added to a bit of the nerves and the pressure. But again, couldn't ask for much more. 62-0, and I think I opened the game with a try myself. So Super League debut. First team debut, score. Super League debut, score. And we didn't concede any points, so I wasn't stood behind the sticks for any amount of time. It's funny that because Danny Orr, who's coach at Casleford at the minute, he mentioned that to me before the Wigan game in the warm up. That was weird that's come up.
Okay.
He remembers me throwing a dummy, and I think he was the one that took it and ended up going through and scoring on him. So we had a bit of a laugh about that in warm up. So yeah.
That's good. So when playing for the Wolves, quite a few believe you to be the permanent long-time replacement for Lee Briers. Being compared to such an iconic figure of the game like Briers at such a young age must have been something any player would have dreamed of. Was it hard trying to play up to many fans' expectations at such a young age?
I'd heard that, yeah. I think it was more stuff that had been written on the internet than, I don't know, actual people actually thinking it maybe. I don't know. But I was, made my debut in the Super League and had a decent game. And I think it was the very next week again in the cup against Swinton that I ended up having a serious knee injury that put me out for 9 months. So it was like a on top of the world moment, and then you come crashing back down to reality that this sport isn't all rainbows and smooth sailing. So it was a bit of a setback, but I was only 19 at the time, and I came back relatively quickly from that, and I've had no issues since. So it was Warrington. They're still a world class side. So coming through. Brazy was there. We had Richie Marler, Michael Mahan, Brett Hodgson, Matt Kitley. The list of players, it was a world class side. So to cement a spot in that team was always going to be difficult for a young lad. Don't get me wrong, I had chances and I had good game time. Can't remember what year it was, but I had a really good run of games, and ended up signing a good contract extension that I was really proud of. But for whatever reasons, I ended up in and out of the team after that, and it got to a stage where I was, I think, 22. Where as a halfback, I think I needed to be playing every week in, week out. Tony Smith, to his credit, he knew that himself, and he pulled me to the side and said, guys, we'd love you to stay, but this is me being honest with you. You would probably in the next year be in reserve to Richie and Brazy. And that's a fantastic option for us to have, but for your career, it's probably not what you need right now. So if you can go find another club where you're going to have regular rugby, then we won't obviously stand in your way of pursuing that. And I was gutted to that because I'm a Warrington lad, and I wanted to be at Warrington for my entire career. Probably naively thought that would happen. So I was a little bit disappointed. It was sort of like a little step back in my head as well. But I spoke to my family of being so supportive throughout my whole career. And they just thought, that it's time to move on, and that's when I signed for Salford Red Devils. And Ian Watson was very good. I'd played with Watto at Swinton, and I'd met up with him and Tim Sheens, who was there at the time, and they were very keen to have me. And that, as a youngish kid, youngest halfback, is having the confidence from your coach instilled in you is massive. So I was really happy to sign for them and progress to this next chapter in my career.
So like you mentioned, you were involved in the huge win over Swinton Lions, and shortly after were injured and unable to play the rest of the season. How does an injury such as yours affect a young player's mindset towards the game and their ability to progress and extend their knowledge of the game?
Like being injuries are just part of it, part of the game. Touch wood. I've been very fortunate actually.
Yeah.
I've had me fair share of concussions. Don't get me wrong. Which I think is quite well known about. But as far as serious joint injuries, which are probably most common in the sport, like knees and shoulders and ankles, I've been very lucky. I've had my knee and my dislocated my shoulder, which was my two main injuries, but they both happened in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, as a kid, it's you're disappointed and you just want to be out playing, but the medical staff and your teammates and your family are all first class, and you at the time of your injury, you're probably not going to be on your own. There's other boys that are injured at the same time that are perhaps going through exactly the same injury, or a certain spell on the sideline. So you kind of get each other through it, through your rehab, through the weeks of repetitive stuff, and probably training by yourself sometimes as well. So it can be tough, but it does, like you said, it gives you time to watch the game, observe more, and really you just got to do what you can. Obviously, do what you can in the gym and on the field, depending on what injury you've got. So as I say, it's part of the sport. You've got to be strong, but the people around you are massive, and they get you through it. You're always going to come back fitter and stronger than before, and that's what you got to believe.
Definitely. So from 2012 onwards, you were loaned out to multiple clubs such as Widnes, Cass, and the Saints. Would you say being loaned out as a younger player affects one's attitude towards the game?
I'd say, it was really beneficial to me because you're sort of out of your comfort zone. You go into a brand new club for probably a short amount of time, probably usually like a month, sometimes a bit longer. So you're meeting a brand new set of boys that you've got to gel with and form them cohesions with very quickly. So you probably get told the day before that you're going on loan, and then you're at training the next day. And then you've got a game probably 4 or 5 days later, so you've got to pick up things very quickly. And you've got to get, obviously, the relationship with their coach. You've got to build that very quickly as well. So everything's a lot 100 mile an hour. But obviously, at the end of the week, we all do the same thing and play a game. So I think going on loan to the multiple clubs and getting to know their sort of cultures and the way they play has only helped me as a person grow and as a player as well. So very grateful actually that I've had the opportunity to play at various clubs, and I'm back at Casleford now on loan again. I don't know how many times I've been on loan actually. It's probably quite a lot. But every team's the same. Every set of boys is very welcoming, and you form friendships very quickly. It's good.
Okay, so I had Matty Davis on the podcast not so long ago, and he told me that he's not a fan of the dual registration concept. As you're training with one team and playing with a separate one, would you say the loan system is better for a player compared to the dual reg deal?
I'd probably agree with Matty there. I've been part of that dual reg system as well with Warrington and Swinton. So it can be hard to get some sort of consistency within your own game when you're training with your parent club, and then potentially going to the dual reg club overnight, where they are maybe coached differently or their systems are quite different to what you're used to playing at your parent club. So then you're caught up in two minds. Well, do I stick with what my parent club's teaching me, or do I go with what my loan club is? They go with their system. So I agree with Matty. It can be quite frustrating when you're going, especially if you're bouncing back back and forth and playing for one team and then another, you're getting no sort of consistency. So at least with a loan, you've got 4 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
And you know where you are, you know where you're at, you know where you're going to be playing. So I mean, I was lucky to come through an academy where we had 18s and 21s at the time, and then it went through 18s and 20s. And I've come through a system where if you're not playing first team, you're playing for a reserve team or an academy.
Okay.
Against another academy or reserve team, and I had a real sort of clear pathway to reaching first team rugby. So the young lads that are coming through now don't really have that sort of clear route, which I think can be quite challenging. So I'm always for an academy rather than a dual reg system. I'll probably agree with Matty there. Yeah.
Okay, so you were at the Wolves until 2015. When it got to the time of leaving Warrington, was it because you were unhappy at the club and Salford was a better place for you? Or, like you said, was it the coach that believed they didn't need you at the club anymore and it would be better for you to leave?
Yeah, it was it was more of a mutual thing, I think.
Okay.
Tony Smith was very, as I said before, he was very honest and upfront, and felt for my career I needed to be playing week in, week out, and he was honest in saying, you're not going to be first choice here, which is, as a player, you don't want to hear, but I've got to respect his honesty and the way he's dealing with things. So I thought that for myself and my career, I agree with him. I need to be playing week in, week out if I want to progress and get better. So yeah, it was a mutual thing. There was no hard feelings whatsoever. They didn't leave on bad terms or anything like that, which I think is important because you can always, you never know further down the line you could end up returning to the same club. So I've always felt it's important not to burn bridges. You've got to be professional, even though you may not agree with what's going on. But in my case, it was a mutual thing. We both decided it was the right thing to do, and very thankful that it did happen because Salford I think was a catalyst to the player that I've become now. So yeah, it all worked out.
Definitely. Were there any other teams interested on your signature?
At the time, you know what, I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, in all honesty, I can't remember. So I don't know if it was just Salford at the time. Maybe Widnes. I'm not. I would be speculating now because I've just been on loan there, so I'm not too sure. But I ended up deciding to sign for Salford.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So your time with the Red Devils was, of course, very successful. You scored the winning drop goal to help Salford keep that Super League status. How did it feel after scoring such an amazing drop goal and winning the £1 million game?
Yeah, it was a surreal game, a surreal season. Because if you look back on the season, we finished with enough points to finish 8th without the points deduction. And the whole salary cap saga was nothing to do with that current squad. It was, a past team. So we went through a lot of adversity that year and found ourselves in a £1 million game that us as players didn't think we believed or we deserved to be in.
Yeah.
And to be 8 points down with 2 minutes left, I think even as players knew, this isn't looking good. But the success of that, like it was every single 1 to 19. Like I put the winning drop goal over and whatnot, but the tries leading up to that to get us level, the things that Josh Griffin did to set Niall up in the corner and make that break, like it without him doing that, there's no chance we win that game. So he, in my eyes, he was the real hero of that game. I was lucky enough to just bang a drop goal over, which was 1 in 100 attempts. So absolutely surreal game. I don't remember much after it, to be honest. It was all sort of blur. Obviously, very relieved that it was all over, and we could just sit back on that coach journey and have a beer and just think about like what had actually happened. And we celebrated for a couple of days and just sort of look back, and still do now actually. Like, you can't believe it actually went that way, but it was definitely a special day. Yeah.
Definitely. So you're an established fullback over recent years, but you started in the halves, of course. How do the two roles compare in skills and getting through the game?
You know what, the role of the fullback now, I think it's evolved over the last probably 5-6 years. It's a lot more of a pivotal role now. I think it's almost like you're playing with a third halfback, which, you know, in my early career and, you know, coming through the academy in my early 20s, I was predominantly playing halfback. When I was at Salford, I made that switch to the fullback position. I enjoyed both positions. I know I've had to learn the roles of a fullback and the tactics involved. But apart from, you know, the obvious, where, you know, the half defending the line and the fullback is out the line and organising the defence, it's a very similar role as far as providing, or hopefully providing, try assists for your teammates. So I enjoy both positions. I must say I prefer playing at fullback now. Don't have to do nowhere near as much tackling, which is good. It's a bit more running, so you got to be fit. But I'd say the fullback, the positions are very similar now, and I think it'll only stay that way, the way the game's going and speeding up. So,
definitely. So after enjoying your time at Salford, you moved to RFL's new child, the Toronto Wolfpack. With you joining the Wolfpack, I presume you're all for the idea of the expansion across sea. But do you think that RFL and Super League could have taken a more stable route in order to expand the game in the market?
I don't know about the whole more stable route. I think, you know, when they proposed that they wanted to have a team from North America and especially in Toronto, that all the due diligences were set in place, that you know, that this is financially sustainable and this can actually work. So and it was doing, you know, no one can predict a global pandemic and what's happened. That's definitely what's, you know, caused the unrest and the financial troubles that Toronto are going through at the minute. But up until then, I you know, it's been nothing but a positive, such an enjoyable experience being able to go over there and play the game. And tap into a different sort of audience over there. The Canadians love the sport. Toronto as a city is mad sports city itself. They love the contact sport. Obviously the ice hockey. We got the Leafs, the NBA champions in Toronto Raptors. You got a soccer team, Toronto FC. And they even got a Canadian football team in the Argonauts, which is like an NFL, but Canada's version. So it's sport mad, and, you know, with the Wolfpack landing there as well, it sort of took off. You can only see that by the championship grand final last year, where we had plus 10,000 people. In a city that rugby league is like so alien to them, it's crazy. So as far as other measures being put in place, you know, it's just this unprecedented time that no one could have predicted. That I think without obviously COVID-19, that we would have been competing in Super League normally this year and have been back and forth on a plane. And we'd have been absolutely fine. So it's just an unfortunate thing that the club's going through at the minute, but positive that it's going to get resolved soon with new ownership.
So of course Toronto have pulled out for this season, but if they do regain their spot in Super League, do you still have plans to carry on your career with the Wolfpack?
I do, yeah. I've got a 2-year contract come November when my loan deal expires with Cass. So we're hoping to find out what our future holds very soon. And the things that we're hearing are all positive. So it's been tough for my teammates that haven't managed to find another club, and they've been without money for God, I don't know how many months now, 3 or 4 months maybe. It's been so hard.
Definitely,
and hopefully we're seeing a bit of light at the end of the tunnel now, and we can get through all this trouble that we've had.
Yeah,
I'm confident that we will do. As I say, I'll be if we are in Super League next year, and there's a team, I want to be part of it, and I want to continue my career with Toronto for at least the next 2 years anyway. Yeah.
Definitely. So you've played for multiple clubs throughout your career and played under some of the best coaches in rugby league. Did each coach's play style differ from the rest, and which do you think fit your style of play the most?
Oh God, that's a good question. Yeah, obviously each coach has got their own sort of philosophy in how the game should be played. A lot are very similar, as opposed in regards to tactics and how a team should defend. What's the best way to stop tries, and what's the best way to create tries. Tim Sheens, for example, he loved the trick play, from a set start, scrum or a tap. Where we can be fully organised and put on this one play that maybe a team hasn't seen before or defended. Coming to Toronto and under Brian Mack, his philosophies, especially with the ball, it's a lot more of the unstructured stuff. Playing off the cuff with offloads and push support, and just trying to find a kink in the line that usually isn't there because of structure. And if you get that right, he's proven that it's very difficult to defend, near enough impossible to defend. If you can get that right. But it's the balance between not forcing an offload and throwing maybe a pass that isn't on, and getting down and playing the ball. Whereas other coaches, it's all about structured play and getting to certain points of the field for this specific play to be put on, and that unlocks defenses. So Brian McDermott's and Darryl Powell's are probably very different in that respect. So I like to get used to how Cass play, and don't get me wrong, it's good knowing and learning. You're constantly learning, even now. So coaches definitely have different spins on things. So it's just a case of learning and putting it out there and doing what we're told, really. Yeah.
Definitely. So like you said, you've joined Cass this year, and you made your debut against the Saints. Although you lost the match, was it good to get back out on the field after 5 months or so?
It was, yeah, definitely. I was very nervous before the game. It'd been 5.5 months. It was the longest I think I've done without a game for a while. I'm trying to think, what do we get in off season? Is that October, November, December, January, February? Yeah, so it's like going through a pre-season, off season. Like then first few games you're very rusty and you're very nervous. But luckily, I was at the Saints. I live in Saints, so it's only 5 minutes down the road. But that game was ridiculously fast. It was 0-0 at half time, so there was no tries scored, so you're not having any breaks there. The ball didn't seem to leave the field of play for I don't know how long. So it was definitely thrown into the deep end sort of moment after 5 months of no game. It was so fast, it was crazy and intense. It had a sort of a grand final, semi-final feeling to it. So although we were on the wrong end of the result again, I enjoyed the test, enjoyed the challenge, and I think both teams walked off knowing that they'd definitely win in the game, and it was enjoyable.
Definitely. So, being a crucial part of the Cast Tigers squad at the moment, what would you say needs to be done to ensure the Tigers make the playoffs this year?
We've just got to fix up simple little things that we've, that have troubled us the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And we know what they are. Like, it's just a case of sticking together and just putting it right on the field. We're not in any panic mode. It's we've got a lot of games to go, so we know what we need to do, and we're working hard each and every day to put that right. And hopefully on Thursday it all comes together and we can get a good win. But we know the dangers of Salford. Salford are a great attacking team. They've got to the grand final next year, and they'll be looking to bounce back from the disappointing result against Leeds. So it's a very tough game on Thursday.
Definitely. So to finish off the podcast, we'll do some quick fire questions. So let's get started. Okay. Question 1: who's the toughest player you've come up against?
Michael McAlorum. He's a tough cookie. Definitely. Definitely Mickey McAlorum. Yeah.
Okay. Question 2: would you rather win a Challenge Cup or Super League Grand Final?
Grand Final.
Okay. Question 3: which member of the cast squad works the hardest in training?
Who's the fittest? Or
we'll go with that. Yeah.
Probably Paul McShane. He's always at the front of the conditioning. So probably Macca. Yeah.
Okay. Question 4: out of all the players we've played with, who's the first to have a pint after a match?
Who's the first to have a pint? Oh God, Josh McCrone.
Okay. Question 5: which is better, English or Canadian weather?
Depends what season. But in the summer, definitely Canadian.
Definitely. And finally, question 6: which is harder to tackle, a huge prop or a nippy halfback?
No, that's a good question. Which is harder? I'd probably say a nippy halfback, because a prop will just literally pick you out and run straight over you, or try to run straight over you.
Yeah.
So usually they're easier to chop down than, say, Bevan French, who's fast as lightning and changes direction so quickly. Yeah.
Okay. So before we finish off the podcast, do you have anything you'd like to say to any of the young listeners who are trying to make it in the world of rugby league?
The best bit of advice I can give is just keep your head down. Don't give up. Like, have a confidence in yourself, but not an arrogance that that you're gonna make it. I certainly for one second never thought that I wouldn't, and I don't think that was a cockiness thing. It was just a belief in my own ability that if I work hard, make the right sacrifices, attach myself to the right sort of people, and listen to my coaches, my family, and all the people that want the best for me, then everything will fall into place. So that's sort of the best advice I can give.
Definitely.
And good luck.
So thanks for joining us today, guys. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you back out on the pitch soon, and I can't wait to see what the Tigers can cook up for the remainder of the season. Once again, thanks for joining us today, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Cheers, all the best.
Pleasure's been mine, mate. Thanks for having me.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't